Think the live is started. All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. King. It is January 4th, 2022. Did we ever think that we would see 2022? Y'all remember when we were in school and we were always like about this time we would be flying around like the Jetsons? It's cold here in Texas, here in North Texas, here in Duncanville at 800 Link. It is cold. I think it's 32 degrees outside. I don't do this type of cold, y'all. So, we're discussing today New Year, New You. What do resolutions tend to resolve? Nothing. And why? Mainly because people, they fail at them. We all set a resolution, well, not us all, but many people set resolutions. It's the beginning of the year. I'm going to go to the weight room. I'm going to go to 24-hour fitness. I'm going to go to the gym, goals or whatever. And I'm going to work out and I'm going to lose this weight. That's the first week of January. Our fitnesses and all of those made a bunch of money, but they don't have anybody in their buildings. You know, not based on the percentage of people who signed up for a new membership or renewed their membership from the year before. So, or I'm gonna it's the new year. I'm stepping into the new year and I'm not bringing people with me. But then you do. You bring that same drama, that same foolishness, that same toxic relationship or friendship into the new year. So resolutions, I'm sorry, y'all, they don't work. I'm sorry, they just don't. For some, they do. A low percentage of people it does, but for most it doesn't, because what it requires is what most people do not want to take the time to do, and that's to actually sit back and think about what it takes when you say you're going to do something to actually do it. So let's talk about that. And I'm not for resolutions. I used to set them years ago. I stopped making resolutions because they just do not work for me. Because resolution, you basically set, I'm making the resolve, or I'm going to say, I'm going to make $1 million next year. But then there's nothing that you do to make $1 million. So to me, if you understand what a SMART goal is, it's specific, measurable, those things. It's early. What is it? Specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and time centered. Some to that degree. What the acronym SMART is. Well, how are you going to make $1 million? What are you specific? What is your timeline? Are you realistically doing what it needs to take? What it takes to make $1 million, and then your timeline. What is your timeline, y'all? It's going to drive me crazy until I figure out what that A is in SMART. So I got to look it up. It's early, but I don't care. So the SMART go achievable, not accountable, achievable. So the acronym SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. My apologies. I said accountable. To me, accountable says better. But is it achievable? I mean, that goes along with it being realistic. Is it relevant and realistic? And I've actually seen the R be realistic. And on this chart, I'm seeing it as relevant. I've seen it as both, but at the end of the day, are you doing what you're supposed to do to make sure that that goal is actually fulfilled or comes to fruition, however you want to say it? And no, for most resolutions, no, people just spit some out there and that's it. People tend to fail themselves before February. And we just had that conversation. They'll say they want to lose weight. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. But instead of losing 20 pounds, they add on 20 pounds. Because you're going to lose 20 pounds. How longer, let's go down to S's. Is it I'm going to lose 20 pounds? Is it measurable? How are you going to measure losing that 20 pounds? Are you going to be weighing yourself by, daily or weekly or monthly? Are you also, hoping that you're losing inches, are you going to understand that losing inches is also as good as losing pounds because it's going to add up to pounds? Is it achievable? Are you realistically doing what it needs to take? That means eating well, and diets are another thing. People lose 5 pounds and then they don't understand why they gained that 5 pounds back, but they don't understand the concept of what it means to diet. And diet, I'm not even going to get on that soapbox. So there are some things there that you just don't want to fool with. But when you say you're going to resolve to do something, it has to be a SMART goal attached to it. And most people don't attach a SMART goal to that resolution, but then they get mad when they don't fulfill or bring that resolution to out there that set a resolution. My resolution for 2022 is I'm going to make $1 million, but you don't have the mentality or work ethic to make $100, much less a million. Let's be realistic. We are too grown. We are too old. Y'all, I'm about to be 50. So when I think about some of these topics that I'm doing, it is coming from the mind of a 50, almost 50-year-old woman, of things that I've seen other people do, things that I've seen in myself to do over the years. I'm not perfect by any means. And like I said, I've made resolutions that I myself have not brought to fruition because I did not understand. And it just doesn't work for me. I found something else that actually works for me. Okay. So be realistic when you start talking about things that you're going to do in the next new year. You know, I had a wonderful, if we factor out COVID, my 2020 and 2021s were awesome. They were awesome. I learned so much. So I can't say that I'm leaving so much behind in 2021 and 2022 is going to be different, because if we factor out COVID and the things that happened and all the negativity that COVID brought, my 2020 and 2021s were awesome. And I have to give it what it is, give those years their props, because COVID did affect my life. I did not contract COVID. I had family members who did. I had family members who lost their lives, unfortunately. But my years, those 2 years have been great for me. I've started a new career and things, so I can't complain about 2020 and 2021, and I'm not. But with that being said, my 2022, I already have goals in place for what I'm going to build on, like I did from 2020 into 2021. Now 2022 is going to continue to build off of 2021, and I'm going to be just fine. Okay. So people will say, well, how did your 2021 end? Did it end on a positive note? Did it end on a negative note? And I get it. People are already losing family members since January 1st, since New Year's Day. I might be realistic that people pass every day. So we can't, it's the new year and here we go. And I said it too, come on in here and sit down somewhere 2022 and be still and act like you've been here before. Don't start that foolishness. But unfortunately, people are going to pass every day. And so let's not use death as a way to gauge how our year is going to go. I hate, I hate it. I don't like when people pass away and things of that nature. But unfortunately, that is a part of life that's never going to change. People are going to be born every day. Unfortunately, someone's going to pass every day. Okay. So please don't use that as a way of gauging, your life. How did your life go? That's why I say I would start a career in either one of those years, because those things are going to, when I say ask you whether or not you had a positive or negative time, it's, did you lose your job? Did you drop out of school? Fail a class? Those are the types of things that I'm focusing on when I start talking about that. I can't say we have to ignore COVID, because we cannot ignore COVID. COVID is our, it's our pandemic, and we were overdue for one. And I am a science person. For those of you who are not, I don't know what to tell you, but we were overdue for a pandemic, and it came in with a vengeance. Okay, so I'm not ignoring it. What I'm doing is saying, hey, with everything going on, how was things for you? Practicing self-care, things of those nature, that nature. That's what I'm asking when I say positive or negative. Like I said, my 2021 was awesome. I started a new career. You know, I got earned my doctorate back in 2018. I sat down one day and prayed and said, Father, please tell me what my purpose is with this doctorate. And it took 3 years, but it's there. And I know what my purpose is. I've started a new career and I'm moving forward with that. I can't be upset about that. And my thing is, as I get older, like I said, I'm about to be 50 years old. As I get older, the one thing that I do not allow people to do for my new year, new me, is disturb my peace. That is the one thing that you should never allow people to do, is disturb your peace. If what is going on, you're not going to care about the next day, stop worrying about it. If what is going on does not affect you, stop worrying about it. Stop allowing people to disturb your peace. There is so much stuff that goes on in the world that is directly going to bother you and affect you, that you do not have time to let other indirect things disturb your peace. I don't even allow people to fool with me and come in my space if I feel that they're going to disturb my peace. I am an empath. People's energy, I can feel negativity from a mile away from folks. And when I feel it, I believe it. I understand it, because if I can feel that coming off of you when you walk past me like bad cologne, you ever walk past somebody that has on bad cologne, you know exactly what I'm saying right now. So if I feel that coming off of you, no, I cannot fool with you because you are disturbing my peace. Prime example, everybody learned about the self-checkout lines. Definitely in 2021. Why? Because employees are catching COVID. People are quitting. Lots of people quit their jobs in 2021, or a lot, were terminated, laid off, or whatnot. But unfortunately, a lot of people quit their jobs in 2021. I don't have an opinion on that. Do you? And your reasoning, once again, not my problem. Can't let it disturb my peace. I started a new career. That's all I'm worried about. But when that happened, now you have restaurants that are not operating at full capacity. You have grocery stores that are not operating at full capacity. You have airlines and airports that are not operating at full capacity because they don't have the personnel. Well, grocery stores, self checkouts. Everybody's, I don't work at Walmart. I don't work at Kroger. I'm not scared of my own stuff. Let me explain something to you. I love on the world, on this earth, in the world, whatever. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and argue with somebody over time. So I love self checkouts. I loved them long before COVID hit, because guess what? You go over there and wait in that line for 30 minutes just because you want to stand on the principle that I don't work at Kroger, I shouldn't be done. I go through this self checkout that nobody is in and be in and out in about 10 minutes. Peace. Do you? You want to wait in that line and do all of that, you are more than welcome to do that. For me and mine, we're going to go through the self checkout. I don't have a problem when doing something for me benefits me. I'll check my stuff out and I'm out the door in 5-10 minutes after I go in and do everything I need. I don't spend a lot of time in stores anyway because people annoy me. It's people-y out there, but you know, people to destroy my peace going forward. I'm as I mature, and I don't care how old you get, you always continue to mature, or you should. Okay. So peace, professional development. Did you professionally develop these last year or two? I have. I've made sure, because guess what? As these people are quitting their jobs, guess what's available? Careers or jobs, depending on how you look at it. The more people quit their jobs and walk away, and once again, I'm not talking about people whose jobs were terminated against their will. I'm talking about people who willfully quit their jobs because those stimulus checks gave them more money, or they realized they can make more money, on state benefits, and once again, their business. But When jobs are available, you better go out there and get them. It's not to quit. You better go out there and get that career going and get that money. Okay. Professionally develop. Make sure that you are professionally developing. I don't care what your career is, what your job is, what industry you work in. Make sure that you are professionally developing and you are always on top of the protocols and standard operational procedures and just things that are changing in that industry that you work in. That's going to be your very basic bottom line of defense when you're doing your job. Time on the job, experience, and professional development are the three things that you have to be serious about if you plan on progressing. Don't just talk the talk. You better walk that talk, walk that walk, do whatever you want to do. But if you're going to say that you're going to be a new year, new you, new year, new me, new year, new you, however I put it, you put it, whatever. If you're going to do these things, you that it's going to take to bring that resolution to fruition if you want to make them or just that goal or whatever you have. Did you leave anyone behind? And that's a big thing. You always notice at the end of the year, people are talking about how they're ending friendships and relationships. Once again, most don't do it. Some do, most don't. That's also, it's for some a legitimate thing that they need to do. Some y'all need to understand that people are toxic. There are some really toxic people in your life because there are people. I created a meme not too long ago and posted it and said it. Your biggest low key hater is somebody that you see every day, talk to every day, smile in your face every day. And it shouldn't take you long to figure out who that is. For some, it will because you're going to understand, and many don't understand that a lot grew up with because as far as you're progressing, they're not. And instead of them saying, hey, maybe I should go to school or go to a trade school and get some experience and some education and knowledge up under my belt, get a certification, get a degree, get something, and start my career. That's not what they want to do. They just want to sit back and tell you why you stupid for going to college. Like, man, I shouldn't have done that, dude. You living at home with your mom. You know, so understand that your low key haters, you see them every day. There, it's not going to be a shock to you when they finally show who they are. You're just going to sit back and think about all the things that happened over the time, little bitty bits and pieces of that puzzle. And when you put it together, you're going to figure out, oh, okay. Because eventually they're going to show you exactly who they are. And smile in your face all the time. So, how do you cultivate the new you? 2022. You've said you're going to do all of this stuff in 2022. You're going to leave all this stuff behind in 2021. How do you cultivate that new you for 2022? As I continue to say, the whole topic and the whole concept and the whole um, the primary reasoning behind this presentation. Set SMART goals. Don't just say you're going to make $1 million. Don't just say you're going to lose 20 pounds. Don't just say you're going to get an education. What are you going to do? Be specific. Write it down. Things that we write down, we tend to actually accomplish and fulfill more than things that we just think about. I'm always writing some down. These little journal books, I have so many of these. I was blessed with a bunch of these when I graduated with my doctorate, but I have spirals, like little one subject spirals or five subject spirals. I have all that type of stuff because I'm always writing things down. When you write something down, when you write a goal down, it makes it real and you start to hold yourself accountable. But apply the SMART acronym. Be specific. What exactly do you want? Make it measurable. What exactly do you want? And how are you going to measure the progress of obtaining that goal, fulfilling that goal, bring the goal to fruition, however you want to say it? Is it achievable? How are you going to hold yourself accountable? Like I said, these acronyms over the years have changed. Be realistic. Achievable goes on with realistic or relevant. Once again, the R keeps changing over years as well. Is it realistic that you can, like, with the sports thing, they always talk about dunking. You know, a 4 foot person can't dunk. I've seen, you know who Spud Webb is. Spud Webb wasn't 4'6", but he was short for a man, and the Spud Webb could dunk. You know, be realistic with things that you have done in your